Okay. Hello, everybody. Are you frustrated and stressed trying to reach your goals, your health goals, your financial goals, your lifestyle goals? If you're setting your goals, you're already ahead of a lot of people because a lot of people don't actually set goals. They say, I wish things would be this way or that way, but they don't actually set goals. So you are ahead of the game, even just by setting a goal, right? Um, Guess what, though? They keep asking themselves why they're not getting anywhere. They're a lot like I used to be. So I used to be like that. I used to say, I wish I had more. I wish this was different, right? But what I realized was I looked at them, and what I would do is I would think about the goal in my head, the goal that I had in my head, but I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a time frame, and I didn't have any actions actually specifically towards the goals. I just wanted something different. And what I've learned through EMF and doing all of this is that I learned that we need to be really specific. And the coolest thing for me, actually, that I learned was that, sorry, um, what I learned for me was that I was able to look at what I had already achieved. I was so busy worrying about whether I was reaching the goal and being good enough that I was achieving goals and not appreciating them. And although I feel like most of my goals were heart centric, like they were meant to make my life better and make my family's life better, they were kind of came from outside of me. And so now I know that I have to be really clear. And going forward, my goal is to share what I'm learning here. And it's actually part of why I joined EMF was because I wanted to be able to articulate a means to the end. Like, how do I get the goals? How do I get where I want to be in life? And I wanted to, um, I needed the words. Here I am, speechless. I needed the words, though. I needed a way I wanted to give people tools. I guess that's what it is. I wanted to be able to share tools that I've used to find my way and enjoy life more and reach my goals. And I wanted to be able to share that with others. So that's why I went into EMF. And for me, I know it's not a huge story, but I can't tell you how much peace and joy that I have in my life realizing that I can let go of goop and I can live in now. And when I'm chasing not things, but chasing feelings and like what I want to get out of life, it becomes a whole new ball game. And that's where I found my joy. So, Debbie, what has your take on this Goals Reinvented been?
So first of all, my heart is so full, especially when you talk about your story and what you want to contribute to people in this world, and that's what it's all about. But I want to take you back. Do you remember where you were in March of 2020?
Crazy. Yeah.
I think that almost everybody, if not everybody, will remember that and where we were. And for me, I spent the first half of March on a big trip. Actually, my daughter and I left on February 14th on Valentine's Day to travel across the world to New Zealand, and we spent 2 weeks traveling across amazing country in New Zealand. It was such an amazing trip. It was so great. And then I spent 2 weeks in Australia. My parents were what we call snowbirds. Basically, they wanted to get away from the Canadian winter and they went all the way to Australia and they would spend a couple months there. And their plan was to come back at the beginning of April. And so here I show up at the beginning of March. We spent 2 weeks, and literally, I was coming home on March the 15th, which is when pretty much the world was starting to implode and things were moving really fast for COVID. It was crazy.
Mm.
I was down there when Tom Hanks was there with his wife, and they had COVID, and it was a big thing. But anyway, so here I come back to Canada, and my I have 4 children, and I think at the time 3 of my kids actually were working for the same company as me in the same department. And they were told with no uncertainty that if they went anywhere near me when I got back, then they were not allowed to come into the office. And so I needed to quarantine for 2 weeks. One of my kids happened to live, uh, on her own in a condo downtown Toronto, so I switched with her. So I stayed at her place for 2 weeks, and she stayed at my place for 2 weeks, and we started basically at that point, we started working from home, and we never, like, it stuck. We never changed that. But what happened to me is I swear I felt it. I felt this switch go off in my head. It was not a good one. I didn't realize it at the time. But I basically, for whatever reason, the switch went off and I started working honestly almost 24/7. And once I turned on this switch, I couldn't turn it off. I was working night and day. Literally, I'd get up in the morning and I would start working like right away. My computer was right there, like almost, from the bed to the bathroom to the computer. And I only came out to eat, to use the washroom, and to make tea. That was it. Other than that, I was holed up in my room on my computer doing everything. And I just didn't even have any kind of thought about it. But then there was some turn as COVID kind of started to come to an end. People started changing jobs, and there was this big job exodus that happened throughout North America for sure. And so what happened then is that more people were leaving, so that meant more work for me, and I just kind of kept taking in this work and continuing to work and work and work, and I did not see where I was. And part of it was I didn't have any goals, and here I am, kind of pretty much wasting away my time because I was just immersed in work and forgot about everything else, in, family and having, going for a walk or whatever. But then one day I saw this email. It was the email said, "Are you tired of being busy, being busy?" And I'm like, that is me. I'm so busy being busy that I totally am missing out on life. And that was kind of an aha moment for me. But check this out, Deb. I was too busy to watch the webinar, right? I'm like,
Oh
I
my
sat
gosh.
there for a minute on my bed. It was a Sunday. I sat there and I'm like, oh, I got too much to do. I can't watch this. This is going to be almost 2 hours. Really? And it was like that was the last day to sign up. So I did end up watching that, though, thankfully. I did end up watching that, and I signed up for a 21-day detox, which is say, how does that have anything to do with tired of being busy? But it really started to change my life because I went into the coaching program. I was working with my coach, Rose. I was learning to set goals, learning how to evaluate where I am, and learning how to set boundaries as well. And so I just had lost so much about me. And so to me, like one of the sayings that I love is if you don't know where you're going, anywhere will get you there. And once I started to see that, I started to plan for my retirement and to really see what my big goal was and to really articulate it and write it down and start working towards it. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to retire. So my big goal is to help a million or more people in the next 10 years to transition and see a healthy, whole food, plant based lifestyle. And so I have to say, though, it continues from there because my real aha moment was during Peter Sage challenge on abundance. And what really crystallized for me there, and I don't know why, because sometimes you have to hear things more than once. I think I had to hear it 4 or 5 times, but I realized that I need to write it down, make sure it's written down, to make sure that it's today. It's not about the future, it's about living it today. And it's about feeling great today. And it's about who I am going to become to reach the goals that I've set. And so it's all about creating a life you love now. And I hope you can relate to this and can see, because I know there's a lot of people who don't set goals. And so that's kind of where I came from. And now that I have that path and that goal set, life is easier and life is more fulfilling for me. So that's a little bit about my story and where I've come from down the goal. So I was one of those people that didn't have any goals. I was just working my butt off
Yeah.
to work my butt off on the hamster wheel to nowhere.
Right. And you feel so good about it while you're doing it, right? Like I'm working until you're tired, until like you said, like you're tired and you're like, wait, why am I doing this? What am I
Yeah,
doing?
until
Yeah,
you've had enough. Yeah.
you are not alone, or
Uh,
we're not alone.
yeah, for sure. All right. So
No.
how do we get there? How do we actually get there? So what are our options and how do we set these goals?
Well, I know we have 4 principles of how we can change our goal setting, right?
Yeah. So I
And
think yeah, there's definitely 4
definitely,
organizing principles.
yes,
And there's I guess we're talking about goals reinvented, right? And
right.
so
Just a whole
there's
new way.
yeah, so you would kind of maybe start by how do people normally set goals and kind of what that's about. So um, that's kind of really about doing it, I guess, under force and trying to bend the river of life and swim up current to set the goals. And so, a lot of people will do SMART goals and really trying to force the goals to happen versus just letting it happen, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a huge change for us here. Yeah. And that's something I kind of said earlier too. A lot of times because we haven't been setting goals, we find ourselves in a place that we're dissatisfied or not feeling great about it. And we get kind of upset and frustrated. We're like, why am I here? What is happening? This isn't what I wanted, right? But we didn't set an intention. We didn't set a goal to work towards. But like you said, we've been working, but we haven't set a goal. But I know today we're going to talk about a whole new way of looking at goals that makes it more enjoyable and easier to reach our goals.
Yeah. All right. So why don't we get into the 4 organizing principles of goals? So number 1 is to choose, not change. And we'll get into what that means a little bit in a little bit. Number 2 is to look at the size of your goal. And here's the deal. If you have any idea how you're going to reach the goal, then it's too small. You need to think big. Number 3 is the purpose of the goal isn't to achieve it. So hang on a second. Are you saying the purpose of the goal isn't to achieve it? Like that's like counterintuitive. Normally you think that you set a goal to get to the end. But really, it's not about the goal and getting to the end. It's about the journey that you take and who you become to get there. And number four, you need to dream big, but focus small. So you need to have a vision that lights you up, but then be laser focused on how you get there. So those are the four organizing principles. And I think for today, we are going to talk about the choose not change. So this is like so much material. So,
Yes,
all
this
right.
it's a whole new way to look
So
at goals. So yeah, there's lots to
I
say.
know. So let's look at the focusing on how to choose and how to move away from trying to control and more be in creating. And so we have here, I have an apple. Okay. And so if I want orange juice and I have an apple, it's not gonna happen. Like there's no way for me to get orange juice from this apple. And so um, it's what's in our world today is this apple. So anyway, if I want orange juice, I need to forget about that apple and just let it go and plant new seeds. And so instead of complaining that I've got an apple and no orange juice, I need to plant the seeds now for the orange juice. And so that's the same thing as, if you're hating your job, right? And I used to date someone who hated, couldn't complain enough about their job. Uh, but instead of, if you hate your job, instead of complaining about it, because complaining about your job is the glue that keeps you tied to it and is not going to help you anymore, maybe you could kind of move to what can you become so that you can get a better job or one that's more fulfilling to you. So maybe you need to learn some new skills so that you can get a job that lights you up or something that lights you up instead. And so, what we're doing is moving away from trying to control the situation to trying to create something in our lives. So, we're going to create what we want and move towards it. And of course, now we're going to say there's four things you need to do to create the life instead of choosing or and controlling where you're at. So, moving away from control. And so the first one is that clarity is power. You need to know where you are going. And I think that we've talked a little bit about that already. Um, you need to be precise. You need to do detail, detail, detail. Every detail counts. And
Yes.
so here's a little example for me. And this was really powerful. One day I was at the grocery store and there was a homeless man at the entrance he wanted some food. And so I asked him if I could help him out. And he said, yes, he would be so appreciative if I could get him some food. And I asked him what he wanted, and he said, anything. I'm anything. Just get me something. So I went into the store and I started looking around. It sounds like really easy, just get anything. But then I thought, I could get him pizza. Does he like pizza? Does he like pepperoni? Does he want like uh, mushrooms? Or what does he want? I have no idea. Well, then maybe could get him a hamburger or something. Well, does he want cheese on it? I have no idea. So I wandered through the store looking at things, trying to figure out something, but every time it's like all these different things came into my mind. What if he doesn't like that? Maybe that's not what he wants. And so I ended up leaving the store without getting anything because I didn't know what to get. And so here, if we would have had clarity and he would have told me, yes, I'd like a ham sandwich on brown bread, hold the mayo, add some cheese, give me some ketchup and mustard, whether you like that or not, but that's what he asked for, then I could have easily known what to get and it would have been I would have been able to just zero in and get what he wanted. So clarity is power. You need to be very specific about your goals and when too, right? Like that's what you said. It's not about just having the goal. It's about when do you want to accomplish it. And so make sure you have clarity. The second thing that you need to do is you need to set ethnocentric goals, not egocentric goals. And so this is all about is well, it's not all about you. It's not all about me. It's not all about us. It's about how we can serve and what we can give for contribution to the world. And so, if I want to have $1 million, instead of saying, I want $1 million, my better thing to say is, what can I do to give $1 million of value to people? And that's the better thing. And I'm going to then leave this one with a quote from Tony Robbins. Power moves to those in direct proportion to their willingness to serve. Okay, so power moves to those in direct proportion to their willingness to serve. So if you are able to be in flow with the river of life, which is power, that means you're giving and in service. And if you're swimming up against the current, which is what most people are doing, then it's force. And so let's be of service to people, and you will be far greater ability to meet the goals that you want if you're giving value to other people and you're contributing to our world. Deb, there's two more to go, and that's up to you to bring it home.
First of all, I love what you said about the first two, the clarity and the ethnocentric. And I know I think I hinted on that a little bit, and I've
Oh,
talked about that,
definitely.
but it's like, it's not just about me. And it is very true. Even if you have a health goal, like why? So you can enjoy life more. For a lot of parents, it's so that they can enjoy being with their children and their grandchildren. So it's serving more than just yourself. It's not a self-centered goal.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to move on to the third part of this, choosing and not changing. And that's going to be focusing on the end goal. And I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. Like you can say, I want a better job, I want a better career. But the real question that you're going to ask yourself is, why do I want a better job or career? It can be for some of the reasons you stated, like maybe you want a better job or career because you feel like what you're doing isn't um it's not like aligned with you. You're like, okay, so um I don't know, my job is to be an accountant, right? And you're really good with numbers and you do it well, but it doesn't light you up. Like you're just doing it. And unless you can find a way to use that accounting to help others, you just kind of feel empty, right? But what you have to do is ask yourself, why do you want the better career? Is it for just that? Like because this one feels like it's not really me? Or is it for something deeper? And for myself, I always say I want maybe a slightly different career because I would like to make more money. And why do I want more money or why do I want to change careers? And it's mostly so that I can help more people as I have. Like, I wanted to live a more fulfilled life. And as I stated, like going through all these goals and seeing, like, what do I really want? I discovered I'd already accomplished a lot. And I am true to myself. I don't, I, you know, I have heart centered goals and I always have. But I was still feeling not quite like I was enough, right? So this kind of goes hand in hand, these goals though. And why did I want to make this change? Because I realized that um, people are living their lives and they're doing their very best and they want to feel good about themselves at the end of the day and they want to feel like they've accomplished something and they want to feel that they're worthy to be part of this world. And so one of my goals is to Stop hiding who I am, what's really going on in my life, right? So that I can be myself and be more me. And I feel like when we focus on our end goal, we ask ourselves that question: why do I want what I want? And you keep asking that until you get to the real root cause of what you want. Some people, I think for most of us, we find when we get real deep in there, we find out that ultimately what we want to do is feel like we left something valuable behind. That, like, when we leave and we go on to the next life or to heaven or wherever you believe we go, I think you want to feel like you left this place better than when you arrived, right?
For sure.
And um, this kind of goes into the other part of this, but ultimately, when you're focusing on the end goal, the feeling that you're looking for, there's going to be different options that show up to meet that feeling or end goal, right? So for me, it is to uplift other people. And my reason for that is that I know what it feels like to feel like you're hiding somewhere or something, and you don't know whether, like, I don't want to be too loud, I don't want to be too good, but I feel like I'm letting everybody down, like all at the same time, right? And I know how that feels. And so I don't want other people to feel that. So I've gone out of my comfort zone to figure myself out so that I can hopefully give other people these tools. That's my end goal. I can do that in many different ways. And this is one of them. To show up here every week and share is one way that I can do that. I'm still thinking and trying to figure out other ways, to be more impactful. But ultimately, that's what happens when we focus on the end goal. We can find a lot of ways to meet that goal if we're open to it. So, what do they say? There was a quote. I don't know. I think it's in a song or something. Chase the dream, don't chase the money. And I think I've said that before too. But that's what it is. Chase the dream. Do you want to go ski in Aspen, Colorado? Okay. Figure out how you're getting to Aspen, Colorado. You don't have to become, yes, it's very lucrative there. I know. Someday maybe I'll go there. But you don't have to become a lucrative this, that, or the other thing. You can find a way to get yourself to Aspen, Colorado without all that, right? Even if that does seem very selfish, but ultimately what it means is you're learning how to reach your goals. And by doing that, you show other people, like, oh my gosh, can you believe so and so just went to Aspen, Colorado? Like, where do they get off go doing there? They can't. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. That's even if that's it. Fabulous. Job well done. Yes. And you should feel fabulous. And I hope you have a great trip. All right. That brings us to number 4, which I kind of get. Our goal, our goals are intermingled. I'm sorry, I go all over the place. Anyways, the fourth part of this creating and not changing is aligning your heart and your mind. And that means that it all kind of goes together, like the ends and the means. Like, what is your end goal? What does your heart really want? Right? And this is something I think we feel like we struggle with it because I think a lot of times we don't want to listen to our hearts. I think we've been jaded over the years or something bad happened and we're like, "Ooh, I do not like the way that feels and I'm not doing that again." Right? Those of us who are super resilient though, we're like, "Ouch, that hurt. Yeah, let's try that another way." Right? Oh, nope, that hurts too, right? But you don't want to give up on your heart. You don't want to give up on your heart. But what you can learn to do is listen to your heart a little bit more and your mind. And I know we've talked about this before. Our mind is going to try to keep us safe. So it's going to talk you in and out of things. And I think the important part here is that one, like, know who you are. Know who you are. Because if you know who you are and you're identifying as the kind of person, and this is what Debbie was talking a little bit about earlier too, is being the kind of person that does da 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 da. So if you don't believe you're that kind of person, you're like, I'm not an athlete. I can't do it. Um, that's not what I do. Right. If you keep telling yourself that, then the change is going to be hard. But if you say, I am the kind of person that wakes up 15 minutes early to do a little yoga before I start my day, then you're going to be the kind of person that wakes up and does 15 minutes of yoga every day. If you say, I'm the kind of person that parks at the other end of the parking lot and walks half a mile to get to the store, instead of being that person that's like, give me a spot right up front, right? Like, they're all little things. They are who you are. But when you really know who you are and you can believe in yourself, you can let go of all the goop. Doesn't matter what anybody else says, right? And you align your goals with your heart and your mind. And they can say, like, when the mind is behind what your heart is feeling, it's going to support you and it's going to help you find those ways. And what we have to learn to do is be still. And I know we've all heard this before, and some of us chuckle when you be still and listen. But the reality is, you do need to sit still and be listen, especially when you're really struggling and you're really going, like, seriously, I know I've been there, I've done that, where I've said, what is going on? Sorry, wow, I didn't think I would get emotional. Um,
Wow.
sorry. But whew, I'm just gonna breathe for 2 seconds. Oh, but when you can get your heart and your mind together, um, and they get aligned, it does get easier. I'm sorry, it's just I spent a lot of time thinking I had things figured out, and I thought I'd done a lot of what I wanted to do.
Well, we're always, I mean, it's a journey and
I'm
we're
sorry.
always working on it, right?
It
It's
is. It is. Yes, I'm
there's
definitely not there. I'm definitely not there.
yeah, but I mean, no, I mean, even if you set goals and you figure out what you want today, it's a
Right.
journey and you never know where that is going to take you and where you're going to end up. And
Right.
and so I could definitely feel that you are feeling the goals and you're feeling, you've got a
Yeah.
lot of emotion and feeling, and those are good things. It's good things. So,
I
um,
appreciate that. Sorry.
yeah,
Sometimes things just hit me.
yeah, well, we all have those moments for sure.
We do.
But it's about feeling, right? That's what it's all about. So here's the deal. I don't know if you want to say more, or you got
I
finish
feel
off
like
on,
I
or
think I did okay there.
yeah,
I
okay.
think
All
I think
right.
I think that's good enough.
Uh,
Tonight,
so
I can go to work now.
here's the deal, right?
Beautiful invitation. Yes.
Yeah, so Goals Reinvented isn't about setting those smart, realistic goals. It's actually about setting those goals that light you up, the ones that do make you emotional, that do make you feel something, that bust your heart out of your chest and all of that. It's about that feeling. And I also want to say it's only about you, and you are the only person who is going to know what lights you up. It's not about what your parents want you to do or your spouse or your partner wants you to do. It's not practical. It's not small. We're talking about if you don't have we're talking about the big goal that lights you up, that you have no idea how you're going to make it happen, but you're going to make it happen. And if you don't have a goal, it's like getting in the car and driving to nowhere, and just getting in the car and driving and not know where you're going. And I know what that's like. And what happened to me, I just got on the hamster wheel of life and kept on going and going and going. And they just kept feeding me more and more work. The more I worked, the more work I got, until I got to the point of, wait a minute, I'm not like, what kind of a life is it to be living in your, sitting behind your computer all day long. Wasn't good. And I
Mhm.
gained some weight because of that too. So now I have more goods. So now I want to challenge you to set your goals. And we're talking about not the smart goals, not the practical goals. We're talking about creating a life that you love. And so, what does that look like for you? That's up to you to decide. Where do you want to live? Just close your eyes. Where do you want to live? I just, like I can see the water, and I've got a big picture window that's overlooking the water, whatever water, I don't care, just as long as it's water. I better not say that. I got to be more
You
precise.
better be very clear there.
Malibu, okay?
You're gonna
Over.
we're gonna end out with a sewage treatment plant.
Exactly.
Here's your water.
I got caught. And what does your day look like? What are you doing, with your day? When do you get up? What's your morning routine? Do you have a partner? Are you on your own? Do you have like pets? Um, and how does it make you feel? That's the big thing. How does it make you feel? So next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, it's this time next week on Wednesday, we are hosting a workshop called Create a Life You Love. This is where you will be able to work through and writing down. It's all about writing and getting that onto paper because that's important to create the vision of the life that you want to live. And so, if you are interested, I highly recommend getting this on paper. Then send us a DM and we will get you the workbook and get you signed up to join us for the Create a Life You Love workshop. And that's like, what else is there?
Right. It is, yeah. Once you know where you're going, that's pretty much it in life, right? At least have a direction you'd like to go.
Yeah,
It's a
for
great
sure.
start.
So don't
Nope.
forget to DM us, and we'll see
Yeah.
you next week at the workshop.
See you
Bye
at the
for
workshop.
now.